Chosen one, you got people mad as hell that they didn't listen to you, and your intuition is absolutely on fire lately. Everyone's talking about it. The whispers, the side conversations, the sudden respect in their voices when your name comes up. It's all because your predictions keep coming true, and they're finally realizing they messed up big time by ignoring your warnings. Stay with me because this gets absolutely wild. To everyone around you, what you do feels impossible, supernatural, a little bit scary if they're being honest. And there's someone specific who's been watching this pattern of your accuracy unfold. Someone who made a choice that's been haunting them ever since. They're building up the courage to reach out to you, and when they do, what they're going to ask you will surprise you completely. Something shifted for you recently. Maybe it happened gradually over the past few months, or maybe it hit you like lightning during a particularly intense period of your life. You went through a spiritual awakening that cranked your psychic abilities up to levels you've never experienced before. All that healing work you've been doing, all those toxic people you finally cut out of your life, all that energy you reclaimed for yourself, it's transformed you into something more powerful than you were before. You're more sensitive now, more intuitive. Information comes to you faster and clearer than ever. Sometimes you feel scattered, like your consciousness is operating on a different frequency than the physical world around you. You might be losing things more often, feeling disconnected from your body, experiencing dreams so vivid and meaningful they feel more real than your waking life. These aren't side effects, they're upgrades. Your spiritual operating system just got a major update, and you're still learning how to navigate the new features. Your friends and family have noticed the change. They can't put their finger on exactly what's different, but they know something is. You carry yourself differently now. When you speak, your words have a weight and authority that wasn't there before. When you look at people, it's like you can see straight through to their core truth, and that's making some people very uncomfortable. Meanwhile, there's been chatter in your professional circles about your recent insights. People are starting to connect the dots about how often you've been right about business trends, personnel decisions, and strategic moves. A conversation happened last week that you don't know about yet, where your name came up as someone who always knows how these things are going to play out. That conversation is going to lead to something bigger than you expect. Someone in your circle faces a major decision. Maybe it's about a romantic partner who's showing red flags that everyone else thinks are charming quirks. Maybe it's a business opportunity that looks golden on the surface but feels off to your intuitive senses. Maybe it's a friendship that's becoming increasingly one-sided, or a job offer that comes with hidden complications. They come to you because deep down, they know you'll tell them the truth. Not the truth they want to hear, the truth they need to hear. You share what you see. You explain the energy you're picking up. You point out the patterns and warning signs that are clear as day to you. You might even get specific about how you think things will unfold if they proceed with their current plan. They listen with half an ear while already having made up their minds to do the opposite. They choose the business partner who gives you bad vibes. They stay with the romantic interest who you immediately clocked as manipulative. They pour energy into the friendship you warned them was draining their resources. They take the job that felt wrong to every one of your intuitive alarm bells, and then, inevitably, it all falls apart exactly how you said it would. The business partner turns out to be dishonest and greedy, disappearing with shared resources when the going gets tough. The romantic interest reveals themselves as controlling and emotionally abusive, isolating your friend from everyone who cared about them. The one-sided friend disappears the moment they need genuine support instead of constant validation. The job becomes a nightmare of office politics, impossible expectations, and ethical compromises they never saw coming. What's different now is the aftermath. Instead of quietly dealing with the consequences and hoping no one remembers what you said, they're actively talking about how right you were. They're telling other people about your accuracy. They're sharing stories about the time you warned them and they didn't listen. Your reputation as someone who just knows things is spreading like wildfire. And there's someone specific who's been collecting these stories. Someone who's been asking around about your track record. Someone who's been building a case for why they need to swallow their pride and come back to you. There's someone from your past who's been thinking about you a lot lately. Someone who made the choice to distance themselves from you, to partner with someone else, to listen to other voices instead of yours. At the time, they thought they were making the smart move. Maybe they felt like you were too intense, too direct, too willing to point out uncomfortable truths they weren't ready to face. They chose someone easier to be around, someone who told them what they wanted to hear instead of what they needed to hear. Someone who wouldn't challenge their decisions or point out the flaws in their thinking. Someone who seemed more agreeable, more supportive, more aligned with their existing beliefs and desires. Now they're dealing with the consequences of that choice, and it's devastating. The person they chose to listen to instead of you, they're proving to be absolutely useless when real problems arise. When this person needs genuine insight, strategic thinking, or intuitive guidance, their chosen advisor just shrugs and says, "That's not really my area of expertise." When they need someone who can see the bigger picture or predict how situations might unfold, they're met with blank stares and surface-level analysis that misses all the important underlying dynamics. Meanwhile, every major decision they've made without your input has backfired spectacularly. The investments you would have warned them against, they've lost significant money. The people you would have told them to avoid, they've caused drama, chaos, and genuine harm. The opportunities you would have encouraged them to pursue, they've watched from the sidelines as others seized them and succeeded. They're starting to realize that you weren't just offering opinions, you were providing access to a level of knowing that they took completely for granted. Your discernment, your ability to see through people's facades, your knack for understanding complex situations quickly and accurately, all of it became invisible to them until it was gone. This person has been having conversations with mutual friends, asking questions about you. They've been hearing the stories about your recent accuracy with other people's situations. They've been realizing that the pattern of you being right didn't start when they left your life. It was happening the entire time they knew you, and they just weren't paying attention. The following is a message from Mike, founder of the Obsidian Inner Order, powered by Astral Atom. Look, I know you came here for your Chosen One video, but I need a minute. If I don't speak this into the field now, I might never forgive myself. Some of us were born into fire, abused, exiled, haunted by truths no one around us could hold. That doesn't mean we're cursed. It means we were chosen to walk through the veil and come back with the map. Inside the Obsidian Inner Order, we gather every week, live on Zoom, face to face. And when I say real people, I mean it. A former military drone operator who now uses his mind as the remote. A millionaire CFO who walked away from everything to become a psychic in Noosa. A spiritual healer once trapped inside a satanic cult. A seer, a sage, a soul who left Mormonism and found the Gnosis instead. These are the ones who gave it all up when their calling hit. And that's just a glimpse, and every call is recorded. So when you're alone, when you're crawling through the dirt of your own awakening, you can press play and feel the field again. This is not for everyone, but maybe it's for you. Can you see yourself among us? Join the Obsidian Inner Order. Link in the description. Thank you all for supporting the broadcast. We quite literally could not do this without you. Some nights, They lie awake, making mental lists of all the times you tried to guide them and they ignored your advice. They're calculating how different their life would be right now if they had listened. They're working up the courage to reach out to you, to apologize, to ask if there's any way to rebuild what they threw away. The question is, will you be available when they finally swallow their pride and come knocking? And there's something else happening that they don't know about yet. Your professional reputation is building momentum in ways that are going to change your entire trajectory. The conversations happening about your abilities are reaching people in positions of power and influence. Your abilities aren't just being noticed in personal relationships anymore. In your professional life, people are starting to seek you out specifically because of your uncanny ability to see what others miss. Maybe you're the one who correctly predicted which projects would succeed or fail before anyone else saw the signs. Maybe you're the person who can look at a new hire during their interview and immediately sense whether they'll be a good fit for the team culture, their actual work ethic, and how they'll handle pressure. Maybe you have an almost supernatural ability to anticipate market trends, customer behavior, or industry shifts before they show up in any data. Your colleagues have started saying things like, "We should get their input on this before we move forward," and they always know how these things are going to play out. Some are even suggesting that you take on larger roles, lead bigger projects, or be consulted on major strategic decisions that could affect the entire organization. The truth is, you process information differently than most people. While others are analyzing spreadsheets and running cost-benefit analyses, you're tapping into a deeper level of knowing that combines logical thinking with intuitive insight. You can look at a complex business situation and immediately understand not just what's happening on the surface, but what's really driving the dynamics underneath, the personality conflicts, the hidden agendas, the unstated motivations that will ultimately determine success or failure. This makes you incredibly valuable in professional settings, even if some people can't quite articulate why your input is so consistently accurate. Last time, there was a meeting you weren't invited to where your name came up 3 separate times. People were discussing major upcoming decisions, and multiple voices said, "What do you think they would say about this?" And remember, when they predicted that thing about that one account, that meeting is going to lead to a conversation with you that will surprise you with its scope and implications. Meanwhile, there's someone in a position of authority who's been quietly observing your track record. They've been connecting dots about your insights and accuracy that even you haven't fully recognized yet. They're preparing to approach you with an opportunity that will validate everything you've been sensing about your professional potential. One thing that sets you apart is how quickly you receive and process information. Ideas, insights, and intuitive downloads come to you at lightning speed. Sometimes you'll get a complete understanding of a situation in the time it takes most people to barely grasp the basic facts. This can be overwhelming for you and confusing for others. You might find yourself talking faster, trying to capture all the information flowing through you before it disappears. You might start carrying a notebook everywhere because insights hit you at random moments throughout the day, while you're driving, in the shower, during conversations about completely unrelated topics. Other people sometimes struggle to keep up with your thought processes. What seems obvious and straightforward to you requires lengthy explanations for them to understand. You see connections and patterns that they miss entirely. You understand the long-term implications of decisions, while they're still focused on immediate consequences. This is both a gift and a burden. Your mind works like a supercomputer, processing multiple data streams simultaneously, identifying patterns, and predicting outcomes in real time. Meanwhile, you're surrounded by people operating on dial-up internet speeds, wondering why you seem impatient or restless during discussions that feel elementary to you. There's someone who's been noticing how quickly you grasp complex situations. They've been watching you in meetings, observing how you cut straight to the heart of problems while others are still figuring out what questions to ask. They're putting together a proposal that would make full use of this ability in ways you haven't considered yet. Looking back over your life, you'll probably notice a pattern that's becoming more obvious to others too. You've been ahead of the curve on multiple trends and ideas. Things you were talking about, researching, or implementing years ago are now becoming mainstream. Concepts you embraced when they seemed weird or fringe are now widely accepted and discussed in major media outlets. This isn't coincidence. You have a natural ability to tap into collective consciousness and see where things are heading before they get there. You're like an early warning system for cultural, social, and technological shifts that most people won't recognize until they're already happening. People who dismissed your interests as strange or irrelevant are now seeing those same concepts everywhere. They're starting to remember that you were talking about these things long before anyone else cared. Some are even giving you credit as the person who introduced them to ideas that fundamentally changed their perspective on important issues. This pattern of being first to recognize important developments is accelerating. You're picking up on emerging trends in real time now, sensing shifts in collective thinking and behavior before they show up in surveys or studies. Trust your instincts. When something captures your attention, even if it seems unusual or ahead of its time, you have a gift for identifying what matters before others realize its significance. There's someone in your industry who's been tracking your insights about emerging trends. They've been keeping notes about your predictions and observations, and they're starting to see a pattern that's giving them ideas about how to position their organization for future success. That person is going to want to have a very interesting conversation with you soon. Being gifted in the way you are makes you a target for people who operate from lower vibrational frequencies. You've probably dealt with more than your share of gossip, lies, and deliberate attempts to undermine your credibility. People have tried to make you doubt your own perceptions, question your intuitive hits, and feel crazy for seeing what you clearly see. Some of this came from people close to you who felt threatened by your abilities. Maybe family members who couldn't handle that you saw through their dysfunction and called out their toxic patterns. Maybe friends who resented that you could predict the outcomes of their poor choices and weren't willing to enable their self-destructive behavior. Maybe romantic partners who wanted to manipulate or control you but couldn't because you saw right through their tactics from day one. They spread stories about you being negative, dramatic, or difficult to work with. They tried to convince others that your warnings came from jealousy or spite rather than genuine concern for people's well-being. They worked overtime to discredit your voice so people would stop listening to your guidance and continue making choices that served these manipulators' agendas. Some of these attacks were sophisticated and coordinated. People collaborated to isolate you, to make you question your sanity, to convince you that your gifts were actually problems that needed to be fixed or hidden. They used gaslighting, social pressure, and emotional manipulation to try to dim your light and silence your voice. Their efforts are backfiring spectacularly now. As your predictions prove accurate and their lies become obvious, people are starting to see the attacks on you for what they really were. Desperate attempts to silence someone who threatened their ability to operate in shadow and dysfunction. The truth has a way of surfacing eventually, and yours is becoming impossible to deny. There's someone who participated in these attacks against you who's now facing the consequences of the choices they made after successfully pushing you out of their life. They're starting to understand what they lost when they chose to listen to your detractors instead of your wisdom. They're going to reach out to apologize, and what they're going to tell you about what happened after you left will shock you. You're entering a phase where your gifts are going to become even more pronounced and recognized. The people who tried to diminish your light are going to find their own limitations exposed in ways they can't hide or explain away. Those who chose to listen to other voices instead of yours are going to face the consequences of that decision in ways they can't ignore or rationalize. At the same time, new opportunities are going to open up for you that align perfectly with your natural abilities. People who recognize your value are going to seek you out actively. Professional situations that make full use of your insights are going to present themselves. You're going to find yourself in environments where your perspectives aren't just welcomed, but desperately needed for important decisions. This is your time to step into the fullness of who you are. No more dimming your light to make others comfortable. No more second-guessing your intuitive hits because others can't understand them. No more apologizing for seeing what others miss or knowing what others can't access. Someone is about to enter your life who will amplify this shift in ways you can't predict yet. They're going to offer you a platform, an opportunity, or a partnership that will put your gifts in front of people who can truly appreciate and utilize them. Your reputation as someone who just knows things is no longer something you can hide from or minimize. People are actively discussing your accuracy, sharing stories about times you were right when everyone else was wrong, and seeking you out for guidance on their most important decisions. This recognition comes with responsibility. You have a gift that can help people avoid pain, make better choices, and align with their highest good. You also have the right to boundaries, to protect your energy, and to choose who has access to your insights. Not everyone who wants your guidance deserves it. Some people will only value your input after they've exhausted all other options and made a complete mess of their situation. Others will continue to argue with your insights, even while asking for your help, wanting you to tell them what they want to hear rather than what they need to know. Trust your discernment about who truly honors your gifts and who is just looking for someone to blame when things go wrong. There's a conversation coming where someone is going to test your boundaries around this. How you handle it will set the tone for how others approach you going forward. You're part of a larger group of spiritually gifted individuals who are awakening to your full power during this time period. Collectively, you're here to help humanity navigate a period of massive change and transformation. Your role is to see clearly, speak truth, and guide others toward choices that serve their highest good rather than their immediate desires or social pressures. This isn't always easy work. Truth-telling often comes with social costs. Seeing clearly means witnessing things others would prefer to ignore. Having strong, intuitive abilities in a world that often dismisses non-logical ways of knowing can be isolating and exhausting. Your gifts are needed now more than ever. The old ways of making decisions, based purely on logic, social pressure, or material considerations, are proving inadequate for the complex challenges humanity is facing. People need access to higher levels of wisdom, and that's exactly what you provide. The universe is orchestrating situations that will put you in contact with others who share your gifts and understand your mission. These connections are going to accelerate your growth and expand your influence in ways that surprise you. The validation you're receiving now, through people admitting you were right, seeking your guidance and acknowledging your accuracy, is just the beginning. Your reputation as someone who knows is going to continue growing. Your influence is going to expand beyond your current circle in ways that will amaze you. Trust what you see. Trust what you know. Trust the insights that come to you, even when others can't understand them yet. Your track record speaks for itself. Your accuracy rate is undeniable. Your value is becoming impossible to ignore. The people who matter will recognize your gifts. The opportunities that align with your purpose will find you. The recognition you deserve is already building momentum. Someone is about to offer you something that will validate everything you've been sensing about your potential. When that moment comes, you'll know you're exactly who you're supposed to be, with exactly the gifts you're meant to have, at exactly the right time to use them. The world is finally ready to listen. Make sure you're ready to speak your truth with the confidence of someone who knows they've been right all along, because you have been, and you will continue to be. The question isn't whether you're gifted. That's already been proven beyond doubt. The question is what you're going to do with the recognition and opportunities that are coming your way. Choose wisely, chosen one. Your time is now, and the person who's been watching your accuracy from the sidelines, they're about to make their move. What they're going to propose will change everything for you. Get ready.